Welcome to a podcast capturing the antics of two geeks who talk about video game culture and influence, both old and new, all through chaotic banter and tangential tangents that make no sense. My name is Mask. I'm gonna mark as you. This is my pal Red.
Mark is me.
And together we make the Reddmasq Podcast. This is episode 11. Thank you, games, for actually realizing that music is one of the most important parts of your medium, and keeping it going before, during, and after whatever the hell you're doing. Like, you don't need to cut off the music. Just keep it playing.
Yeah.
If you die. You know what other game I did with that I really liked recently? Sonic Dream Team. If you die in that game, the music just does not cut off.
Oh, nice. I've yet to touch. I've had that game installed on my phone for so long, and I haven't even touched it. I'm such a the problem with me and Sonic is that I like the concept, but I've always been terrible at them. It's your turn to gush up the games you like.
My turn to talk about stuff here, because we just wrapped up a whole spiel on the Yakuza Infinite Wealth overall. Yeah, Dream Team is an interesting game concept that they can't bring off iOS right now for a couple of reasons, but I think one of the main reasons is the Tales challenges. Because they're daily missions that you have to come back to, every day. And they change.
Oh, yeah?
They're very dynamic. What's your experience with that?
With what?
The Tales challenges in Dream Team.
I just told you I haven't even touched the game.
What do you mean you never even touched the game? Are you lying? Are you lying for the show?
I am not lying. I have downloaded it on my phone look, that's my problem with games on my phone, is that I'll see it and be like, oh, I should download that and then play it. And it's just this thing is going to devour my battery. It's going to heat up my phone.
And it's going to just devour your life because it's a gacha game, and that's...
I'm going to play... I'm going to play it, and then as I'm playing, as my fingers go across the screen, it's going to smear it. I'm going to be like, ugh, going to have to clean that off. It's a whole... I have issues with playing on my phone, even though I have a bunch of games on my phone.
And this is why I feel like people really like things like the Steam Deck in this day and age, because having a separate device for gaming is kind of essential, as the Switch has proven. Having your phone just be the game console with the backbone and things like that are accessories that you just clap on and they give you a controller, or you just hang it off the top of your controller like an NVIDIA Shield. Yeah, that's nice to have, but it's not actually efficient to carry that around. It's oh, I want to play a game. What do I have on me right now? But just my phone. Or I could just pull out my Switch from my backpack and it's already ready to go. So you just do the latter. And that's really how you game. So that's why the gaming scene on mobile hasn't really changed and evolved over the past few years, but Sonic Dream Team is kind of the exception. And I like what the game has. I wish I played it on a better phone. Basically, the device that I got was an iPhone 7 that someone was getting rid of. And the screen is tiny, the speakers were not up to snuff, and there was a bug with AirPlay, where if you want to put this on the screen, yes, you can connect a controller, yes, you can put it up on the screen, it won't have any audio.
Oof.
So if I wanted to get the actual audio experience with the game, tiny little phone, Xbox controller, squint to look at it. I will say that modern phones have really nice screens. Nice OLEDs, nice curved displays, basically TV replacements that you could just watch whatever show is on Netflix or movie on Disney Plus or something like that, and it's like having a nice big TV in front of you. The technology with micro OLEDs kind of make that even better going forward. But it's just...
Alrighty.
On an old phone, no, please, get it away.
However, I was gonna say,
yeah,
you showed me what the phone was that you download the game on, and I was just like, is that even going to work?
It did. It worked very well. It stuttered a little bit at some points, but it was not the worst experience ever. The game, in terms of the gameplay itself, it's your typical Sonic game sort of formula that you had with Generations and Forces. You're going through levels, you have the blue coins and things like that. Where you have to actually...
The red rings?
You have red rings, but you also have blue rings that are hidden throughout the levels that you have to collect. After you get 30, then it unlocks something, kind of like the blue coins in Super Mario Sunshine. They are the thing that rewards you for exploration in the levels themselves.
Are there still other moon rings as well?
Shut up.
How many rings do we have? Are they bringing back everything from the previous games? Can we find this? Can we find the giant rings from Sonic 3 and Knuckles?
No, you cannot. No. There
Damn.
are different missions though. This whole dream world kind of atmosphere they make for it is a decent kind of plot. They do some things with like the animated scenes in the game where it's just like, I don't know. How do I describe it? It's like a Sonic game plot. It's kind of like Sonic Colors, where you have like your
Right?
characters doing their thing. Eggman's up to no good, and it's up to the team to stop them. Sonic's friends, I mean, are back in full, not full force, but like there's a good spread of them. You got the two boy characters for like power, speed, and flight, and the two girl characters as well. Who they went with for the cast is Sonic and Amy. For the flight characters, they went with Cream and Tails. And
Oh
for the
yeah,
power
Cream.
characters, you have Rouge and Knuckles.
Damn
In
straight.
general, I kind of like how all the characters play, but I don't know what's going on with Knuckles' current voice actor. I have nothing
Oh no.
against him, but like he's just kind of has not merely the firmest grasp on the character. He feels like a 4Kids dub sort of pitch,
He
like
feels like
for
he's
the old
lacking
ones.
direction.
Not necessarily. I mean, Knuckles originally had a cowboy hat in like the OVA and stuff like that. So I mean,
Oh yeah.
you could probably make it work. I mean, I feel like I'm just getting old. The voice
Hmm.
acting is fine. It's just like the team doing their thing. It's like, oh, well, Eggman's doing. Okay, no. At one point, like they realize that like they're in a dream simulation because like Eggman stole Cream and like is using her as like a filter because she has like a pure heart to
Oh,
keep
fun.
this whole dream world going, and
Fun.
that's letting Eggman do nefarious things, and Sonic's just cutting in and being like, okay, we're gonna put a stop to this, that sort of thing. Like everyone's attitude is on point there for how the characters are supposed to behave. The voice acting is
Can't believe.
fine. The music is very much a sleeper hit. Pardon the pun. Uh, if
Ah,
the longer you kind of let it play in the background, the more it kind of grows on you. It has some like drum and bass influences as well as just your typical Sonic sort of like punchy direction. I don't know how to put it. I'm not the music guy.
I'm also not the music guy technically. I just
You
I
are
just
more than me,
know
technically.
that's sad.
Whatever. But like, yeah, the zones. I believe there are currently four. There's also like boss battles where you're fighting like all sorts of crazy stuff. Mostly like Eggman like enemies. Uh, I mean like the foreman workers from like the second stage boss. I mean they're kind of forgettable, and the boss fights are kind of easy. But like that's forgivable for a game like this. Honestly, I don't have any problem with that. You have to play them with like your characters from that zone. It's like one zone's about the power characters, so you have to play that boss with Rouge or Knuckles, flying and speed, and you get the picture. Yeah.
Right.
Uh, they bring back Sonic Adventure 2 style missions or Generations missions where like you have to actually like collect 6 dream shards to get through the level, or in your initial run through you have to find the 3 Eggman keys to get through the door there, and that's well and good. Uh, they keep it nice and varied. It doesn't become too tedious too quickly. It's a nice game to just kind of like breeze through, in short bursts. Like it's designed for that, and it does that well.
Yeah.
There's also the Tails challenges, which, as I mentioned there, yeah, they are the daily thing that I don't know how they're going to make that work for when they port the game over, but that is a thing. And there's like
Oh yeah.
unlockable trophies and collectibles and things, and yeah, it's a pretty solid Sonic game. Why is it stuck on iOS? Probably Apple Arcade deals. I have no idea.
Money.
It's funny because like Google has Google Play PC now, which gives you an Android emulator to actually like play Google Play's mobile games like on your computer as like an alternative to things like BlueStacks, which was doing that before. But Apple doesn't like that. Apple doesn't like having its emulator off of its own platform for anyone except developers. The only way to actually get your hands on this is to use something like Corellium, which is a virtual, well, it's a QEMU based virtualization system for like iOS, and that's how
Right.
you emulate it on your computer. But you're paying these guys
Indeed.
to do it in the cloud for you, so it's like, ugh, darn it,
Fun.
proprietary stuff.
Ugh.
No, but like, yeah, Sonic Dream Team is very fun. I really wish that more people could play it, But actually having that experience and going back to like the old phones that I used to have, like I had an iPod Touch growing up. I'm sure I'm not the only one here that kind of fondly remembers a lot of the games they used to play on like iPod. Some people played Android though. Red, were you like an iPod or an Android?
iPod.
You had an iPod Touch too.
This is just what my family got us.
Yeah.
I just rolled with it.
Me and like my brother and like one of my other junior high and high school friends all had iPod Touches growing up, and we played all sorts of zany stuff. Some sports games, Jelly Car, Football Heroes, You know, I mean, stuff you'll never kind of see again because a lot of it is going to get taken down slowly but surely here.
I remember some of the goofy shit we had at the start of it. Mm-hmm. I remember there was an RTS I got when I first had my iPhone, or iPod even.
Yeah.
It was just so many light games where it was just free demos, effectively.
I remember really getting into a game called Eliminate Pro, which was like it became a sort of like MMO sort of thing where they like give away new weapons and just have a whole community around it. I was on the forums for that at the time. And like if you got to level 50, you got to get like one of the mag rail guns that was like an SP gun, and like people were going crazy over it. And like again, this is like whole forum era stuff. And there was also this like Link to the Past riff-off I remember that was like an MMO. You're gonna remember it too when I say it.
Oh, I know exactly which. Is it Grawl?
Grawl, yeah. Grawl was on iOS at one point.
I played that.
It's one of those weird games like Wakfu where you just kind of look at it, it's got an aesthetic, it's going for it, and it's just like...
And then you play it, and it's like, okay, what else is there?
What the hell else is there to do? It's like nothing, bare bones RuneScape. There's like no depth.
It's literally just like a hangout spot where it's like, oh, we have a game here as well, and it's like, all right.
It's like a pre-metaverse, if you will. If you want to be like disgusting about it.
I remember grinding not rupees.
Yeah, there's like this forest area too.
Yeah, there was also eventually they're like, oh, we have added your own house, and you can, and so many people figured out you can like set up all these boxes so that you can just throw bombs through them and like blow up the grass, and then it's like as every time you spawn a rupee on a rupee that already exists, it slowly like increments how much it's worth.
Yeah,
and it changes color at certain tiers. I remember that.
I don't remember that, but I remember the combat arena. Yeah, that was an experience that I had growing up. There was also everyone's favorite Flappy Bird. I didn't have to reinstall that because nobody cares. Flappy Golf is where it's at.
Oh yeah.
They added music from when I last played it, and the music is repetitive. They also added microtransactions. Nobody cares anymore. I re-downloaded it, but like that was my 5 minutes of fun with that one. Anyway, they also put Symphony of the Night on this device. It's the PSP version, and you can use it with a controller, and it actually plays half decent.
Nice.
I bet it was on a tiny screen in my little look-see here.
I think one of my favorite iOS games of all time, before, like even back in the day at least.
Mm-hmm.
It's Extreme Road Trip 2.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah. You know how I originally found out about it?
How'd you find out?
So, the person who did the music for Extreme Road Trip 2, it's Big Giant Circles.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Big Giant Circles is an OC remix.
Sick. The name sounds like it too, like, if you have experience like that, it's like Flashy Goodness and Rivals of Aether. I'm pretty sure they started an OC remix.
Yeah, he has 24 remixes on OC Remix, dating back to fucking 2004. And the reason I know all this is because on the fucking Extreme Road Trip to like not SoundCloud, but Bandcamp.
Mm-hmm.
You go here, you're gonna see a remix on there. You're gonna see a remix in this thing I'm about to link you. So go ahead and look at it.
I'll look at it.
I'm gonna let you say it for me.
Extreme Road Trip 2 soundtrack. The title?
Not the title. Keep going through the whole thing. Like, go to the track list.
The Zone, Power Trip, In the Zone, Level Up Missions. There he is! Who did this song, I wonder?
Yeah, the whole reason I know about Extreme Road Trip 2 was because my older brother did a remix for the game's OST.
God dang.
Just every now and then, this is what happens to me. I learn of a new game because my older brother got in on the action.
Excellent.
It was. I wonder if the. Oh shit, that's not what I want. I gotta go to this. It's still on here because I feel like it got removed. No, it's still here. So here's another soundtrack that I want you to look at the track list for.
Sure. Oh, Meat Boy. I love that one. All-time
Super
classic.
Meat.
I almost
Super
speedran
Meat
it at
Boy.
one point. Also, one of my favorite characters, the kid from I Want to Be the Guy, is in there. I was on the phones for that one, and that was how I got my original name of the guest.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
One of the there's a lot of indie characters as guest characters. Just Minecraft being banned from the leaderboards for being stupid busted. But if you scroll down onto track 30, go to track 30. Yeah. Older brother Benjamin Briggs, Spoiled Rotten. He did a remix of the internet theme, I think. which the internet's levels called Meat Spin. Funny. Meat Spin. Ha! The original music is Meat Spin, but he remixed that as Spoiled Rotten. Then you see like other stuff. It's like A Rival, Mattias Hackstrom, Gert, George, Android Music.
A Rival.
Yeah, if you scroll down a little bit, you can see at 34, C418 also did a remix of Super Meat Boy, naming it Meatcraft. It's like, I wonder what else he's made. I wonder what else C418 has made music of. Are they even a he? Let me look at this. Yes, it is a he. Okay.
Sick.
Just wanted to double check. C418. Yeah. This is the kind of shit that happens in my life sometimes, you know?
I'm just really happy people can find success on iOS in terms of just like putting games out there. If you're going to make a game, this is probably the best place to kind of start with it. Or it was back in the day.
Yeah.
It's really a changed landscape now. Again, comparing something like Extreme Road Trip 2 to the port of Symphony of the Night on your iPhone, I mean, they may be both games, but like one of them was trying to do something an era long after the other one. The indie scene has kind of fizzled out in a way. I'm glad it's still there, and I hope it stays alive. But like, most people that are playing like games on their phones are just using Game Pass and having a controller on the side with it, or they have a Steam Deck, which there's a shop problem again. Remember when the Nintendo eShop... This is another tangent. Remember when the Nintendo eShop just had nothing but shovelware? That was well after the fact that, like, Valve had a problem with that because they opened the floodgates.
Oh yeah, because you just had to pay a flat fee.
Form of shovelware. So it's been seesawing back and forth for a little bit, and now it's back in Valve's favor right now, which is interesting. This episode does not have a sponsor. We just want to bring people in to kind of take a look at the show, see what we have going on. If they like us, support us. Go to coffee.com/mask31 and check out our page, and feel free to consider donating. It's hard for games to get discovered, which is why Pale World is really stupid.
Pale World is just... It is a mix of so many just features in other games. And I think some of the features are why I'm never going to even touch it, because it's just like...
Okay, before we get into the big rant on that, I want to talk about an iOS game that is now lost. That is also made its way into a Kosoge fighting game that I backed on Kickstarter a while ago.
Yeah.
The game is called Zorby. The game kind of has a Wario-type protagonist eating his way into just, like, the atmosphere. Basically, you're just playing this game where, like, you tap on the screen, you make this guy eat these birds. They have, like, they're just giant cooked chickens that you're just, like, shooting down and then eating, and then you, like, go eat the giant bird in the sky. That's the entire plot of Zorby. There are videos on YouTube of the game. I'll link some of those in the show notes. But, like, this game is no longer available to download. Yeah, I'll show you.
Try to find evidence, because I don't know how to fucking search for it, and everything I'm finding is wrong.
This game. It is a strange game and a strange experience. You power up throughout, you get different weapons. It has a Wario aesthetic, Also has a giant tower in the background. I don't know if there's any pizza in that tower, but that would not be surprising to me. I'm just like vibing right now to like the fact that like this game has video out there. I really wish I could still play it. The aesthetic is great. Yeah, it's fun as fuck.
Oh shit, I have seen this actually.
It's fun as fuck and nobody can play it anymore, and it makes me mad. But yeah, Zorby as a character ended up being in this fighting game called Indie Pogo. It was a collection of indie characters in a fighting game sort of aesthetic that you're always bouncing. You're always jumping is the gimmick of the game. And it is certified Kusoge because this shit died on arrival. Like, very died. There was 2,000 players the first day, if I recall, and then there was none.
Amazing.
It was just like catapult levels of not doing well. Indie fighting games like this tend to crop up every so often. One of those that you're familiar with, of course, doesn't have Zorby anymore, which more people need to play this game. God dang. But it's called like what did we figure out it was called? Framemakers.
Yeah, Framemakers, which is because
it has most of the cast of Framemakers over in this other game. So like Indie Pogo is like double obsoleted because of that game.
Yeah, and guess why I know about Framemakers?
Why did this topic line up so perfectly?
Guess why I know about Framemakers?
I'm not going to cut that out. Why do you think I was going to cut that out? I'm not even genuinely mad right now. I'm only a little angry.
Guess why? No, I'm just asking you over. I'm repeating my ask because I need you to answer. Why do I know about Framemakers? Guess why?
Why?
Because my older brother has a song on there.
God damn it. It's like we're sponsored. We have to fucking put a disclaimer at the beginning of your show. Let's just have him on as the first guest.
Yeah, like he remixed one of the Bit Trip songs.
Yeah.
Let me pull it up.
Let's have him on as a guest, and I'll pay him to make a theme song.
Yeah,
that's what it's funny because it's episode 10. So I told you by episode 10 we'd be getting the theme song. So dang it, I think we're gonna go with the theme song next time.
So here's the song that they did, and I love that it just like you go look at the credits. It's covered by OC Remix because it's just really funny because it's Ben, my older brother, was on OC Remix.
Sick.
So covered by Ben Briggs and Bolide, who I am also familiar with because I sometimes hang with Ben and his friends, and it's like, hey, hello, music people. Neat stuff, just hanging around.
Learn through osmosis. That's my pro tip to you, Red.
That is how I learn most of my shit. I just learn, like I didn't watch Star Wars. I know most of what I know because of what I learned from other people.
Sick. I actually, don't get me started on the Star Wars ethos because like now it's just like Mandalorian stuff and like that's its own kind of thing. We've literally gone around to bounty hunters yet again. The PS2 game strikes back.
Indeed.
That's a pun, yes. And I hate you.
I didn't even realize it was a pun. Damn.
Fantastic.
Rest in peace, Jizz. Disney has killed Jizz.
And once again, we mentioned Jizz in an episode.
It has to be known. Disney killed Jizz.
Fantastic.
I have to. I will sing the praise of Jizz and Disney being Jizney, if you will.
The fuck else is on the show notes here?
It's definitely not. Jizney is definitely not on the show notes.
Jizney Kazuya is also not in the show notes. No, Kazama.
Kazuya Kazama.
I can talk about Tekken 8 a little bit because that came out and I'm not playing it. Not because the game's bad or anything, but
the character you want isn't there.
Well, also I don't want to pay money, $50 for a game I'm going to get bored of in a week. Mortal Kombat.
Wow.
Yeah, I would love to play Kunimitsu in this game because I want to learn Kunimitsu. She's not in the game. She's in Tekken 7. I'm playing Tekken 7.
She's still DLC.
That's the simple logic to it. Yeah, she's still DLC, but I don't mind because, like, she's a lot of fun to play in Tag 2. That's where I learned her. I'm learning the differences. She can't breathe fire in 7. Please bring that back for 8. I would say the customization of Tekken 7 as well is more fleshed out than in Tekken 8 at the moment. And I hope that they are going to make some changes to kind of give it a little more of that tact, you know?
Yeah, that's definitely a thing they can add more to easily because it's just a bunch of accessories. It's not as strenuous as making a whole ass new character, you know?
Right. It's just like what they're wearing. The game is basically like it's not Unreal Engine 5, I'm pretty sure, but it's close. So, it's doable.
Yeah.
And like people are just talking about like how the game is a little bit boring because there's no cameo characters. Cameo characters aren't talked about yet. It's not going to happen for another couple of years. So I'm just
Yeah, it
gonna
takes a
play what
while.
I have around me, kitchen table magic style, which is
And it's
just the game I have. This is the game I play. I'm going to play it online. Third strike lives
actually,
forever.
you know what?
Yeah.
There was a guest character at the start of Tekken 7.
Okay.
Who was the character who was in the story mode?
Akuma.
Akuma. Akuma was in Tekken 7 to start with. There was a guest character right at the gate for Tekken 7. I can see why people want more.
Oh, so they actually had him in the story mode. They didn't like change it at all.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, he was literally like the whole his whole shtick was that he interferes with Kazuya and Heihachi because he basically came from the afterlife
Mm-hmm.
and told them like, hey, Heihachi's wife has ordered me to kill y'all.
Right. They basically are doing this like in the story mode, like in Asura's Wrath 2 sort of thing. Then just a lot
Yeah,
tamer and in the Tekken universe. So like a crossover. What
yeah,
Tekken Cross Street Fighter was supposed to be.
yeah. Oops. Name it out like it's Street Fighter X Tekken.
I mean, they're acknowledging that the plot that they made was kind of hokey.
Oh yeah,
They avoided the KOF 2002 situation with that, but like,
yeah.
god
They also
dang.
in Tekken 8 they removed the announcer doing the weird reporter voice because the you know who did the reporter voice for the story of Tekken 7?
I don't.
The announcer.
I never picked
The
up on
announcer
that because like
is
they have
this.
such distinct voices.
Yeah, they literally. I think it was said that like he literally like went on record saying like, hey, the reason why I sound like that in the story mode is because that's how I was told to read it.
Right, he was
That was my that
instructed
was
like that. Voice acting is
that,
hard.
yeah, I was instructed that this is how I was supposed to do this voice, and it's like, oh, so it's like Sonic voice direction being iffy sometimes.
Right, exactly. But yeah, like
So,
Tekken is a game that is interesting when it has interesting things happening, and 8 doesn't have anything interesting happening right now, so I'm gonna keep playing 7. You can catch me online
indeed,
sometimes. If you're fighting someone named Hakoto, that's me.
yeah, it's one of your many names, one of your many masks, if you will,
The Thousand Masks. This is the only one I need for this show, though.
it'll help protect you from COVID.
Sometimes.
Hopefully,
Um,
COVID's
I have a
COVID's still a thing.
COVID is still a thing, and we all need to keep aware of it. Inti Creates has a new game, and I think the aesthetic is cute, and it has a
Cat,
cat in it.
cat.
That's literally the only footnote there. We'll link the trailer in the show notes. It's really adorable.
It gets to turn. It gets to
The
turn
art
into an
style
anthro
is
cat.
nice. The art style is very simple and nice too, and I like it. Inti creates the Blaster Master Zero, also the Mega Man Zero series, also the Mega Man 9 and 10 reboot. Inti creates is just wholesome. Goodness. Also ZX.
ZX Spectrum.
Right. And the final thing we have to talk about, Red, the final thing,
Is it? Is it Pal World?
it's Pal World.
Eh.
Holy crap. You're so about it, though. Like, do you not have anything to say about Pokemon with guns?
I mean, I understand like why it's so big. I have a lot of thoughts about why it like blew up and why people don't necessarily mind it. Because most of it's just like it has the crap. How do I say this? Like, there's a lot of the mechanics are stuff I'd see in RimWorld, or even to go even further beyond, like Dwarf Fortress, where you can do all this questionable shit because it's like part of the simulator aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like, oh, you can just catch humans. Oh, you can butcher your pets. Oh, it's all this stuff that's like, it's like, you know what you can do in RimWorld? You can capture criminals and then harvest their organs for it to sell. Stuff like that. That's just
Just
I'm not surprised that that's something you can do in Pal World.
You know, that
I don't
reminds me of
necessarily.
the Hitman franchise, actually. Like, you can do silly shit in Hitman, but you're not encouraged to, but it is
I
possible.
mean, kind of. You're kind of encouraged to a
Yeah.
certain extent. You're supposed to explore the level, see what you can do, and then like they give you all these unique challenges. And so it's like, oh, for this guy, you need to kill them like this. See
Yep.
if you can find out how that works.
Drag his body over there, put him in the freezer, yeah.
Put him in the device. But there's that's something that like that's part of the thing about Hitman is that they have all this stuff you can just interact with. And they have challenges to help like reinforce that idea of like, hey, feel free to explore, figure things out, do whatever you want, then enact your kill, man. With that's but Power World borrows a lot of that kind of stuff of just there's a lot of stuff in there that it just looks like a similar thing to RimWorld where the pals all have their own strengths and weaknesses individual to them. So it's like, oh, this one is good at this job. And then there's also just like, oh, you can work them. Oh, you can overwork them.
Right.
And it's like, it's a lot of stuff I'm already familiar with. And I don't necessarily mind it, but it's just like,
It's not like we're going to be going over the basics or anything with the game itself. It just, in premise, is just a game that looks a lot like Pokemon, but has a lot of like simulator sort of aspects to it. Kind of like a Breath of the Wild or something like that, where you collect resources.
And their previous,
you actually
and
go
one
up
of their
with those resources and grind levels.
And it's also a survival game like Minecraft, stuff like that. But to go off of that, there was a word. Oh god, I had to forget it in like a minute. Anyways, something I'll say instead is it's the aesthetic of the game is inconsistent, which people have talked about. But
it's an early access game from a dev that's a little inexperienced.
Yeah, but it's also just like I think that works in its favor because it makes it more ridiculous. It's just like it's the aesthetic is they photoshopped Pikachu with a realistic gun and just ran with it. Basically. So it's like,
well,
and people,
that is almost the literal aesthetic. Like that became the aesthetic to the point that people are a little up in arms about it. Like the community is kind of batshit over this game, if you ask me.
It's kind of exhausting to see people talk about it.
And I can actually understand why and how it's coming about here, which is the most interesting part. When people are talking about like Pokemon on like internet forums and stuff, it's actually a really approachable topic. People can have a lot of opinions about Pokemon, and they'll all be kind of weighted in a way that's like favorable to more discussion in a positive light. I mean, one of my first like forums growing up was the Nintendo Insider forums, and when talking about Pokemon there, it was pretty easy. You just kind of name your favorites, you know what they do, and you learn from there, like what people want to talk about around that. Cerebi.net also had a forum similar in nature to that. But now, in this generation, we are seeing a game like this, a game that proposes itself as Pokemon, but with guns. Also, the Pokemon franchise has a lot of fans and hanger-ons that are a lot less about that and a lot more about what we were talking about in our Yakuza segment, where there are influencers and people that want to try to drag the names of Game Freak's development and practices and things like that. But there is fair things to fault about that. But there's a lot of meta discussion that happens around this that is not necessarily fair overall or critical of the games.
Do you remember when Sword and Shield were like leaked and being streamed on Twitch?
I do not.
Well, at one point, like before Sword and Shield released, there was a bunch of like some leakers started streaming the entire game. And what I remember is at one point when they're catching the legendary dog, the legendary wolf of their game, the music wasn't on. And people took. Was that a bug or was that just something because when I got there was music, so it was like
that was like definitely a day one patch bug, yeah.
A day one patch, or even just like game's still not out. We're getting the last kinks out, sort of stuff.
In one of the ending like cutscene photos, there's actually a mouse cursor in the picture.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that. I remember that. That's fun because like the thing about all of this is that it's like it's stuff I don't like a lot of this stuff I just don't actually care too much about, but I do find it funny,
Right.
which is like similar to how I am with Power Worlds. Some of the Power World obvious design decisions where it's like, oh yeah, that's just grass Cinderace, if you will.
Right. The aesthetics and like the character designs are lifted from other Pokemon is what some people are purporting here, which
And
is
it's like
interesting.
it's stuff I don't necessarily care about, but even if I find it funny, because it's like even with that mouse cursor, I thought it was hilarious, but it's also I remember seeing on Twitter people losing their minds about the earbud item in Sword and Shield, which was like
What does it do in
I
that
thought
game? I like GB sounds in Heart Gold Soul Silver, but like I miss Gen 8.
when you talk to a random NPC along the main street of like the Fire Gym town, you can talk to one of these NPCs like that's at a record shop, and they'll give you these earbuds that let you adjust the sound volumes.
Just a weird place to put a setting, yeah. A
It's a
lot of
weird
games
place
do
to
that. Tekken 8 had a setting where you actually like turn off like player movement of your opponent after they win so they don't teabag you.
Yeah,
And that's in the
really funny.
customization menu, which is weird.
Yeah, it's just like, but people were losing their minds about how awful a decision was and how much it sucked and how much it was just like, and it was the most, to me, it just seemed like the most blasé, weird thing to do. Where we're just like, we put this setting for the sounds on this random NPC that gave you a key item, which is very goofy and silly and weird. It's like, I don't know why you would do that and not just put it in there, but whatever. Funny stuff, I guess. And it was just like, people were like, the way people were talking about it was just so angry. And I was just like
it's a
this
setting.
is
It's strange.
that's not even just that. It's just like this discussion about anything Pokemon feels exhausting by
Nowadays,
default.
yeah, it's definitely a change dynamic. Like if you talk about Pokemon to certain groups of people, but what I feel I was getting at with my topic earlier was that like people can passionately talk about Pokemon, and like it's something that people, young teenagers, kind of cut their teeth on in a way. When Pokemon Go became a thing, everyone and their mother was playing that. It seems like Pal World, this seems to be the case, and everyone is jumping in with an opinion left, right, and center about this game. Everyone is so loud, so vocal, and going to the point where, like, Game Freak themselves had to, like, well, the Pokemon Company themselves actually had to look at it. Not Game Freak, not
It's
Game
like
Freak.
their response was more or less just like, yes, we're aware of this game. We are doing our own investigation to make sure there's nothing going wrong here.
Right.
Basically
just
double
acknowledging the crowd, which is an interesting kind of thing. They haven't had to do that since Pokemon Go.
Yeah, and people got really weird. Like just honestly, I feel like I'm just exhausted by all the Power World discussion.
It's definitely an exhausting discussion to kind of witness because there's a lot of voices in the pool. A lot of teenagers are finding their actual first voice discussing an internet opinion among the crowd. And the crowd is very, very, very loud.
Yes, because it's Pokemon related.
Yes.
Pokemon. And it's like, and it's just like, it's rough because it has to do with Pokemon, and that's why everything's going to shit with it, because it's just
day and age, yeah.
Everyone, remember how everyone talks about wanting the asshole rivals back?
Oh, God.
So, yeah, that's just
an opinion.
Because people were trying to say it looked like Power World looks cheap, and it looks like it runs well. But I think when they say it looks cheap, I think they mean it has that Pikachu Photoshop with the gun aesthetic to it.
It could also mean it just has cheap feeling gameplay, like a default Unity type of pre-packaged game, which it does have that sort of thing.
I think I remember them showing an animation. It's like, oh, that's the Fortnite pickaxe swinging in for animation,
right? Because it's a Unreal game. I said Unity, Unreal.
Yeah, it is Unreal.
We've been doing this for almost 2 years.
Wrong you.
It feels like a very generic Unreal game.
In a way, in some respects. In other respects, it's a lot of what they did is they just combined a lot of stuff that people enjoy, and it turned out to be really straightforward and enjoyable, even if it's kind of just a bunch of recycled content that people may or may not have issues with.
And with that, we're not going to get into the AI side of things because I don't want to talk about AI on this show.
Thank God.
Not this week, not next week, hopefully not ever again, but it's probably going to come up at some point.
And it may not have any AI, in fact, but well, I don't know.
Aye. Thank you for listening to this episode. We are hosted on mask31.dev/the-Reddmasq-podcast. You can also find us on Pocket Casts and wherever great podcasts are found.